All right, everybody, welcome back to Real Family Farm. We are in the barn today. It's Saturday, and it's chicken cleaning day. We're going to clean up coops. Chris is already out here working on it. And today, we actually are going to join two flocks together. We have two small flocks that are going to end up going together in one coop. Here's one of our ladies. But we've got a small group of juveniles that we raised up in a separate coop just to keep everybody on the up and up, not fighting while they were still young. And then we've got the mature flock in the first coop, the primary coop. And today we're going to clean out the coops and integrate them together. This way we free up our smaller grow out coop to get ready for this coming spring flock that we're going to get. We like to get new ones each year. That way it keeps them in rotation. We always have laying hens, and we always have some that are growing up that aren't quite laying, or if they're just starting to lay, they're not going to be real consistent yet. And as some of them fade out and stop laying or lay less, we'll always have eggs on hand. So today, right now, Krista's working on cleaning out the coop. Chore master over there, kicking butt, taking names. But she's cleaning out this coop. Once we get fresh bedding and diatomaceous earth down, we're going to go ahead and start bringing the other girls in here, and then we'll clean up that coop so that it's ready for the next flock in the spring when we get them.
I have a system to incorporating a new flock. You don't want to do it all at once, so I usually start with the other flock. I'll pick the two biggest, and I do it in pairs. That way there's two from the same flock, because they will get picked on no matter what. So if there's two of them, they can kind of, stand their ground a little bit, and the bigger ones can handle them a little bit better. And then I'll keep introducing two every few days. So I don't do it like every day. Like do two, wait 3 or 4 days, make sure that that's going really well. And then you'll get the next two, bring them in, make sure that's going well. And then I'll wait to bring in the smaller ones till most of that original flock is back in here. So that's how you can make sure that your flocks are going to get along. It's really important to make sure that all the ladies get along nicely, because stress can kill chickens pretty easily, and they'll also affect your egg production, which we're already in winter, so we want to try to make this as less stressful as possible for the ladies. Hey friends, so in the previous video I showed you that I was cleaning out this coop, so I got it done. I put some diatomaceous earth down. It's just a really good thing to do to keep their hens happy, keep their coop clean. It's a natural, kills all the bad bacteria and stuff. It's just really good grip for the chickens. It's sustainable, it's earth friendly. So I like to do that. I put new bedding in, and then before I brought in our 3 new members in here, I put some corn down so that this original flock was happy and kind of preoccupied, and then I snuck these 3 ladies in here. You want to do that, make it as stress-free as possible. You don't want to just bring a new flock in with your old flock, because if you've heard the term pecking order, that's where it comes from. Chickens can actually be really aggressive towards one another. They'll like kill each other. So you want to make sure you're doing it slowly and kind of supervising it to make sure you're not like having that happen. So far we've kind of been watching. Actually, there's a lady who's probably getting ready to lay an egg. So, Jared, if you kind of want to keep it on that, I'll keep talking. But you want to just do that so that they get acclimated to each other, and then introduce another 2 or 3 every few days, as long as it's going well. That way you have happy chickens. You're not getting stress, molt going on, and things like that. So you just keep your flock healthy. Again, the diatomaceous earth is good. You do want to be careful with it though. When you're putting it down, it does cause a lot of dust, and like I said in my previous video, chickens are really prone to getting respiratory illnesses, and if they get too much of that dust in there, it can build up in their nostrils because it is really fine. So just be careful when you're doing it, and that's why it's really important also just to get the bedding on top of it right away, because it just helps keep that dust down. So this is how we spend our Saturdays here at Real Family Farm.
All right, so when we're cleaning out the chicken coops, just throw it in a wheelbarrow, bring it out here, and make a great big pile of it. And we do that all through the year. So each time through the year that we bring out our manure, we bring it to the same spot, and we'll just make one big pile. And then as through the year, it breaks down and releases some of the nitrogen, so it's not too hot, doesn't burn the plants in the garden later. We add our compost to it, and then in the spring, we use the pile from the previous year that's already rested for a year, and we put on the garden. And that's part of our fertilizing in the spring. That's part of what we use to keep the soil in good shape in the garden, keep our produce levels high. By letting it rest a year, like I said, it releases a lot of the nitrogen. You don't get the whole issue of the nitrogen level being too high and burning your crop, burning your plants. As we increase, we're starting with rabbits. We're going to add rabbit poop to it as well. Rabbit poop actually doesn't have to rest. So like this year's pile that we're putting the chicken manure in, we won't add rabbit manure to that until after the spring plant. Up until we're adding compost to the garden, we'll keep adding it to the old pile, the rabbit manure, because it can go straight on the garden. So like the day we plant the garden, or the day we fertilize the garden and till it, we will probably go ahead and get the last of the rabbit manure out from that round, put it in that pile, fertilize the garden with it, and it'll be ready to go right off the bat. And then starting that day, we'll move on to the next pile of chicken manure and start adding the rabbit to that as well. That way we have more fertilizer for the following year, and we'll just keep building on that through the year until it's ready to go in the garden the following year. We do add in the spring the fertilizer. We add it straight onto the garden, and then we till it in. Last year we were able to get a local farmer that actually was fertilizing the field right next to us to bring over some manure that he was spreading on the field from his cattle and added to the garden last year. But since we did that last year, we shouldn't need to do it this year. This year we are looking at getting potentially some peat moss to put on there, a truckload of peat moss. But other than that, our manure and our compost should be able to keep the soil fairly fresh. And we try to burn the garden off between the fall harvest and the spring plant, and that should help some too. All right, so we are burning off the garden today. Not sure how well everything is going to burn off. There's a lot of space between the plants. There's a good chance it's not going to burn that great, but we're going to burn what we can of it. So we just went around and lit it around the edges, and we're letting it burn towards the middle. Anywhere that it started to finger out into the yard, we just stamped it out. Keep going like this. Krista's kind of hitting up some of the drier patches to try to burn what we can. And we are burning off whatever we can. Try to kill any bugs that are still alive, any eggs that have been laid, any larvae that are burrowed in the root ball. And just basically trying to keep things going.